The United States has 88.8 guns per 100 people. There's about 270 million guns in the United States, which is the highest total and per capita number in the world. 22% of Americans own one or more guns. Opponents of more gun control laws believe that the Second Amendment was for the military. Supporters believe that the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to own guns, and that guns are needed for self-defense from threats ranging from local criminals to foreign invaders. Supporters also believe that gun ownership deters crime rather than causes more crime. Colonial America used guns for hunting and general self-protections. Guns were used as weapons in the American Revolutionary War. Colonies' gun laws required that heads of households, including women, owned guns, and that all able-bodied men enroll in the military and carry personal firearms. In 1643, in Connecticut and other colonies, at least one adult man in every house had to carry a gun to church or other public meetings to protect themselves from Native American attacks. Other laws required immigrants to own guns in order to immigrate or own land. Gun restrictions in colonial and revolutionary America included banning the sale of guns to Native Americans, banning servants and slaves from owning guns, and many people of certain professions could not own guns, like doctors, teachers, and lawyers. The 1792 federal law said that every man eligible for military service had to own a gun and ammunition suitable for military service. They also had to report for frequent inspection of their guns and register his gun ownership in public records. Colored men and women could not own, use, or carry guns, and if they were found breaking the law, they received 39 lashes to the bare back. Cities on the border often made it mandatory for visitors to check their guns with a sheriff before entering the town. In Dakota in 1876, no one was allowed to fire a gun without the mayor's consent. In Kansas in 1879, no one was allowed to carry guns. On February 14th of 1929, in Chicago, the Valentine's Day Massacre occurred. This resulted in 7 deaths, and people began debating whether or not to ban machine guns. The National Firearms Act of 1943 imposed a $200 tax and registration requirement on the making and transfer of certain guns in response to mafia crimes. The Federal Firearms Act of 1938 made it illegal to sell guns to certain people and required firearm salesmen to maintain customer records. The assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Malcolm X, MLK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy, and the 1966 University of Texas mass shooting expanded gun control laws. On October 22, 1968, President Lyndon B. Johnson imposed the Gun Control Act, which regulated gun trade, prohibited gun transfer unless achieved among licensed workers, and restricted gun ownership. The Firearm Owners Protection Act of 1986 allowed gun dealers to sell guns from their licensed address, limited the amount of inspections by the firearms without authorization, stopped the government from keeping gun dealer records, and ended the requirement that gun dealers keep track of ammunition sales. The federal assault weapons ban imposed by Bill Clinton outlawed 19 models of guns. The ban expired in 2004 and was not renewed. In 2005, President Bush made the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, which made gun manufacturers not able to be sued by a victim's death by a gun. President Bush also made the Child Safety Law Act of 2005, which required all handguns have to be sold with a secure gun storage or safety device.
There are many issues that follow up with gun control. First, the most controversial topic about gun control is the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. It reads, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." What this is saying is that people have the right to carry and have firearms, to possess their own defense. This is a huge issue because it allows people to have guns. However, it causes problems because people use it to their advantage to have guns with them freely. A group that advocates for this to have guns freely is the NRA, National Rifles Association. It opposes most local, state, and federal legislation that would restrict gun ownership. Also, the NRA strongly supports legislation that expands gun rights, such as open carry laws, which allow gun owners to carry their weapons unconcealed in most public places. The last change to gun control was in 2013 by Barack Obama, that included a universal background check for gun sales, the reinstatement and strengthening of the assault weapons ban, limiting ammunition magazines to a 10-round capacity, and other measures. The change to gun control before that was in 1994, known as the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act. As you can see, they are not made very frequently. From recent statistics in 2013, 68% of the homicides were used by firearms. Also, at the rate of deaths with the use of firearms, by 2020, 339,000 Americans will die from guns. People who are for guns do not have many laws to support their argument, and people who are against guns are constantly wanting to get rid of the laws that exist now for guns. The reason that the United States cannot seem to do anything about guns is simply that the NRA and the vocal minority of the nation's gun owners mobilize to vote on the issue, while the large majority that favors gun safety laws do not. The debate of the use of firearms has been in this country since its starting point. Firearms are propellants for murder and crime. Lots of public violent attacks are happening each day with the use of guns. At 2:30 on Sunday, June 12th, there was a mass shooting in Orlando. It was the biggest mass shooting in U.S. history, killing 50 people. There were 372 mass shootings in the U.S. in 2015, killing 475 people and wounding 1,870, according to the Mass Shooting Tracker, which catalogs such incidents. A mass shooting is defined as a single shooting incident which kills or injures 4 or more people, including the assailant. Some 13,286 people were killed in the U.S. by firearms in 2015, according to the Gun Violence Archive, and 26,819 people were injured. Those figures are likely to rise by several hundred once incidents in the final week of the year are counted. Of all the murders in the U.S. in 2012, 60% were by firearm, compared with 31% in Canada, 18.2% in Australia, and just 10% in the UK.
America is leading in the amount of deaths in the entire world due to gun violence. This is evident in the graph. In 2001 and 2013, guns killed more people in the U.S. than AIDS, illegal drug overdoses, war, and terrorism combined. President Obama's proposals for stricter gun control is the expansion of background checks, creation of programs to track illegal gun trade, a new requirement to report gun thefts, gun safety technology research and funding to train police officers to prevent gun-caused deaths during domestic violence. Each state has its own gun laws, which have been put in place after the Newtown gun shooting. These include background checks, registration requirements to purchase and sell guns, no carrying guns on school grounds, and the ban of assault weapons only in some states. The original issue is that gun control laws are failing to protect citizens. The question is, do we need more gun laws, or do we just need to improve the ones that we already have? The initial resolutions are more restrictive purchasing, better development on existing laws, the opportunity to give the sellers discretion if they feel the buyer has a mental illness, stricter penalties for illegally buying or owning firearms. One major issue is that mental illness needs to be more heavily targeted and treated in respect to gun laws. One solution would be mental health treatment for people in need. Currently, the Justice Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration are being charged for not taking part in preventing the people who have mental health illness and have killed people with the use of a firearm. The biggest and best resolution is stricter purchase requirements. This can be done by requiring purchaser to provide medical records for mental health reasons. All sellers must have a background check, including private owners or sellers. Mandatory jail sentences for illegal possession, and monthly inspection for firearm realtors and yearly inspections for firearm owners. To improve current gun laws, this can be done by lawmakers working with current groups such as the NRA and law centers to prevent gun violence, educating school staff and children on gun safety, just like fire safety, creating realistic timelines to achieve these goals, stricter punishment for violations of gun laws, and holding lawmakers accountable for that if they fail to do their part.